Hello, my dear children. How are you all? I hope all of you are doing well. Do you have pets at your home, children? Do you have pets? What is your pet? Is it a cat or a dog? So, we all love pets, isn't it? So, today we are going to learn about two little kittens. So, kittens are the young ones of cats. So, we are going to learn a new poem, Two Little Kittens. Do you love to learn poem, children? Yes, we are going to learn a new poem. The name of our poem is Two Little Kittens. Now, I'll read the poem for you. Chapter 10, Two Little Kittens. Two little kittens, one stormy night, began to quarrel and then to fight. One had a mouse and the other had none, and that was the way the quarrel had begun. "I'll have that mouse," said the bigger one. "You'll have that mouse? You'll have none." "I will have that mouse," said the tortoise shell, and spitting and scratching on her sister she fell. I have told you before, 'twas a stormy night when these two kittens began to fight. The old woman took the sweeping broom and swept them both right out of the room. The ground was covered with the frost and snow. They had lost the mouse and had nowhere to go. So they lay and shivered beside the door till the old woman finished sweeping the floor. And then they crept in, as quiet as mice, all wet with snow and as cold as ice. They found it much better that stormy night to lie by the fire than to quarrel and fight. Now, I'll explain the poem for you. The name of our poem is Two Little Kittens. Look here, children. Two little kittens. Two little kittens. The name of our poem is Two Little Kittens. Now listen carefully. We are going to learn this poem. Two little kittens, one stormy night, began to quarrel and then to fight. So there were two little kittens. Kittens are the young ones of cats. So there were two little kittens, one stormy night. What is the meaning of stormy? Look here, children. Stormy means with strong winds and heavy rain on a stormy night. That means on a night with strong winds and heavy rain. One stormy night began to quarrel. They began to quarrel. What is the meaning of quarrel? Quarrel means an angry argument. They began to quarrel. They began to argue each other and then to fight. First, they started to quarrel each other. Then they began to fight. They fought each other. Two little kittens, one stormy night, began to quarrel and then to fight. One had a mouse. One kitten had a mouse and the other had none. The other kitten had no mouse. And that was the way the quarrel had begun. So what happened, children? One stormy night, they began to quarrel and then to fight. How did they start the quarrel? One had a mouse. One kitten had a mouse and the other kitten had no mouse. And that was the way the quarrel had begun. On the name of that, they started quarreling each other. "I'll have that mouse," said the bigger one. The bigger kitten said that, "I'll have that mouse. I will eat it." "You'll have that mouse? You'll have none." The other kitten told, "You'll have that mouse? Will you have my mouse?" "No, you will have none. That means you will not get this mouse. I'll have that mouse, said the bigger one. The bigger kitten said that I will have that mouse. I will eat it. You'll have that mouse. You'll have none. Will you have my mouse? No, I will not give you. You'll have none. That means you will not have my mouse. I will have that mouse, said the tortoise shell. The other one said that I will have that mouse. What is the meaning of tortoise shell? Look here. Tortoise shell means black, brown, orange and white fur. So there were two little kittens. One was a tortoise shell. What is the meaning of tortoise? One kitten had black, brown, orange and white colored fur. I will have that mouse, said the tortoise shell, and spitting and scratching on her sister, and she fell. What is the meaning of spitting? Spitting means to force something from the mouth. So the little kitten, she was spitting and scratching. What is the meaning of spitting? To force something from the mouth. She spat at the other kitten and scratching on her sister, she fell. What is the meaning of scratching? Scratching means rub tightly. She scratched her sister and she fell down. I will have that mouse, said the tortoise shell, and spitting and scratching on her sister, she fell. So what happened, children? The two little kittens are fighting each other. They are fighting each other. I have told you before, 'twas a stormy night when these two kittens began to fight. So I have told you before, the poet is telling, I have told you before, 'twas a stormy night. What is the meaning of 'twas? Look here, children. 'Twas means it was. 'Twas is the short form of it was. I have told you before, 'twas a stormy night. The poet is telling us that I have told you before, it was a stormy night when these two kittens began to fight. These two little kittens began to fight on a stormy night. The old woman took the sweeping broom and swept them both right out of the room. So these two kittens were fighting each other. What did the old woman do? The old woman took the sweeping broom. She took the sweeping broom and swept them both right out of the room. The old woman in that house took a sweeping broom and she swept both of them out of the room, right out of the room. What is the meaning of right out of the room? Right means completely. The old woman swept the two little kittens completely out of the room. The ground was covered with frost and snow. They had lost the mouse and had nowhere to go. So the old woman swept both of them outside the room. Now they are out of the room. And what happened, children? The ground was covered with frost and snow. What is the meaning of frost? Look here. Frost means a thin layer of ice on the ground in very cold weather. Now the two little kittens are out of the room. They are outside and the ground was completely covered with frost and snow. Frost means a thin layer of ice on the ground in very cold weather. So during the cold weather we can see frost outside. Frost means a thin layer of ice on the ground in very cold weather. Now the two little kittens are out of the room. The ground was covered with frost and snow. They had lost the mouse. They were quarreling upon a mouse. But what happened, children? When the old woman swept them outside, they lost the mouse and had nowhere to go. Nowhere means no place. Now they don't have a place to go. So they lay and shivered beside the door till the old woman finished sweeping the floor. So the old woman was sweeping the floor, and what happened? So they lay and shivered beside the door. Now they are outside. They lay and shivered beside the door. Shivered means shook slightly because of cold. It was very cold out, and what happened, children? The old woman swept both of the two little kittens, and now they are outside. They are shivering in the cold weather. Shivering means shook slightly because of cold. They were shivering in the cold weather. So they lay and shivered beside the door till the old woman finished sweeping the floor. The old woman was sweeping the floor, and while she was sweeping the floor, she swept the two little kittens also outside. Now they are outside the room and they are shivering in the cold weather. Till the old woman finished sweeping the floor, they waited outside. They shivered. And then they crept in as quiet as mice. And then what happened, children? When the old woman finished sweeping the floor, what happened? They crept in. That means, crept means moved along with the body close to the ground or floor. Close to the ground or floor. What is the meaning of crept? Crept means moved along with the body close to the ground floor. So when the old woman finished sweeping the floor, the two little kittens crept in. They came inside the room. And they crept in as quiet as mice. As quiet as mice means they were very quiet. They didn't make any noise, and slowly they came in. All wet with snow and as cold as ice. Now they are completely wet with snow. They were outside, isn't it, children? They were outside. The old woman swept both of them outside the room, and now they are wet with ice and as cold as ice. Now they are very cold, as cold as ice. They are very cold like ice. They found it much better that stormy night to lie by the fire than to quarrel and fight. Then they understood that it is better to stay in the room itself. On that stormy night, they found it much better to lie by the fire. They understood that it is better to lie near the fire in the room. It is better to lie near the fire than to quarrel and fight. They found it much better that stormy night to lie by the fire than to quarrel and fight. Now they understood that it is better than quarreling and fighting each other to lie near the fire. Did you understand, children? Did you understand the poem? Okay, now we are going to do an activity. We are going to do this activity, comprehension part. Write complete answers to the following questions. What did the kittens begin to do on a stormy night? The kittens began to quarrel and then fight. What did the bigger tortoise shell kitten want? The bigger tortoise shell kitten wanted the mouse from the smaller kitten. What did the smaller kitten say? The smaller kitten said that she would not give the mouse to the bigger one. What did the old woman do? The old woman swept the kittens out of the room. When did they come back into the house? They came back into the house after the old woman finished sweeping the room. When they came back, were they tired and cold or wet and cold? They were wet and cold. So children, these are the answers of these questions. Now, I'll send you all these answers as notes. So you have to write it in your textbook. Now, I'll give you a homework. So we learned the poem. Now you have to read the poem and send me the video of your reading exercise. Also, we have learned some new words and their meanings. You have to write it in your notebook and complete the comprehension part in your textbook. Did you understand, children? Once you do all these homeworks, take a photograph and upload it in school WhatsApp group. See you in next class. Thank you, children.
Nitya